Could you just update the status on Willie and Trey, everything 100% with them and how they've been doing?
Trey's probably about 90-some%. Willie's healthy and able to go. Trey's still, you know, a little more speed and lift and him trusting his leg a little bit, but he's fine.
Cal, you're not used to having juniors around here. How have Willie and Alex changed since they got to school?
Well, you'd say that, but I had Darius and I had Josh and I've had upperclassmen, but they've done well. And the greatest thing is they're on a team that pushes them as they push the team. There's not going to be anything easy about it, and they know that, so they've responded pretty good.
Along those lines, have your practices been what you would expect from a team that's got, you know, 12 starter caliber guys as compared to maybe 2 years ago when you had walk-ons guarding Nerlens Noel in practice at times?
Yeah, the practices should be what they are, which is they're competitive. There's no easy baskets. You're not getting layups. But we've got a lot of learning to do, and we're still, I'm not convinced of what the groups will look like. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I changed the groups a little bit, and I didn't like them, and I went back. We may change some big guys and switch them on different teams to see what that looks like, because at the end of the day, I'm coaching 2 teams. All my mentors that are the older coaches, Jack Lehman, Joe B. Hall, Gene Bartow, even Coach John Wooden, when he talked to me saying the best teams they coached, they played 6 guys. Maybe a 7th, but it was more like 6. The best teams that I've coached 6 guys, whether it's Mass, Memphis, or here. Now, that being said, so I'm doing it twice now. In other words, I'm coaching these guys together, and I'm coaching 2 different teams. And I've asked to be paid twice. I'm not sure they'll do that, but if I've got to coach 2 teams, then I think it's fair question anyway.
So you've only got so much time. Now you're doing, just to go along with your thing, 2 teams instead of 1. How does that hurt your time? How does that?
The issue becomes they need to compete against each other because we got to figure out, are these the groups we like? But on the same sense, you can't skip steps and you can't go buy things that they really need. There are probably, I would tell you, things that to score against this team, because this team is very long, you have to beat us in transition. So obviously we're working on that. Down in the Bahamas, it was probably one of our weak areas. The second thing you're going to have to do is shoot a lot of threes, because you're just not going to get anything next to the rim. So we're spending more time than I have in the past how to guard the 3 line and also knock down 3 shooters, that we're playing them a little different than I have in the past. And then the other, you know, non-negotiables are diving for the balls, loose balls, and the other would be sprinting the court. If you don't sprint the court, it's an absolute. You will sprint. If you don't, you come out. So those are kind of things we're working on right now.
John, once we do see Trey, what type of player are we going to see?
The biggest thing that we saw with him is he's got some of that dog in him, like he's bringing it. Like if you came at him, he's not moving. So when you come at him the next time, he's in the same place. And when he comes at you, he's coming at you, and you're going to know he came at you. The biggest thing, though, is his skill set. He's a smooth player who can shoot, and he's 6'10". So playing him at the 3 is not like people say, you can't play him. No, if you watch, he can easily play the position. Now, guarding the position, maybe he guards the 4 and Willie guards the 3, or he guards the 4 and Marcus Lee guards the 3. We're just trying to figure all that out.
Coach, how do you coach Andrew and Harrison differently from last year since they're sophomores now, or how do you anticipate?
Well, they came in with a 16% body fat. They're down to 4. The thing that the feedback from the combine about those 2 were, their speed and athleticism, their bodies look great, they're better skilled. So everybody knows they've gotten better. And again, trying to get those guys to play the way this team needs them to play, which is what they're starting to do, that's going to be the key to this.
Coach, how significant are the benefits from the Bahamas trip off the court, and how evident is that in team chemistry and how close these guys are, having spent so much time together already?
Well, you can't separate on the court, off the court. What they did in the Bahamas is they celebrated each other. They weren't leery of each other. They celebrated each other. And that's what brought them together. When you're watching your teammates as you're playing, cheering you on and talking to you and tell you how you're doing, and it starts bringing them together. And the other thing, we had to bring in legitimate teams so that they could see and buy into two platooning. If we had played like just the teams that are down there and won each game by 50, they would have said, yeah, it works against them, but does it work against good players? Now all of a sudden we're playing 3 professional teams down there, and guess what? We did all right. And so I think they're bought in, and we just have so many things to figure out. But the combine, the summer, they know we have their backs. They can worry about each other. My thing, we had individual meetings as soon as we were done, and I told them their job now, all this other stuff is done, is to be the best teammate they've ever been. Be the best teammate. And I gave them the 4 or 5 things that they could do and focus on to be a great teammate. And because if we're to be a great team, it starts with being great teammates. We can all say, well, Cal, you bring them together, and they'll fall into each other's arms, and they'll do jumping off, and it's all great theater. The reality of it is, do you really care about the other guy, and does he know you care? That's when you become a team, and that's what we're trying to get to.
John, any reaction or surprise being ranked number 1 in the coaches' poll today?
Not really. I mean, we may have been ranked number 1 when we lost in the first round of the NIT. And we may not have been ranked number 1 when we won the national title. I can't remember. I can't, looking back, I don't know where we've been ranked, but that's fine. I mean, there are probably 5 or 6, 7 teams that all could have been number 1 in the country. And at the end of the day, you got to play games and figure out. I imagine, where were we ranked last year?
1 or 2, aren't you?
Probably 1 or 2, and we almost fell off the face of the earth. So, I mean, to me, that's fine. It's good, and it's something for our kids to live up to, but it really has no bearing on what we're about to try to undertake. And let me just say this about the 2 platooning. And this is not my political affiliation, but this isn't communism. So if one group deserves to play a little bit more, they will. It's not communism. If 2 guys separate themselves and need to get more minutes because you all look and say, that kid is so good, he needs more minutes, it's not communism. They'll get more minutes. But we're going to figure that out as we go.
John, would you elaborate a little, please, on the key to the team being how the Twins play?
Well, again, we got 10 guys, so I don't think it's just how the Twins play. What I like is that they've gotten way better. Their skill sets, everything about them, they're better. Their attitudes on the court, and again, they are the greatest kids. And I say attitudes, it's more of their body language. You're not seeing any of that now. And that was the biggest comment I got from the NBA people, like, wow, these 2, they have totally changed. But what if they play great and the other 10 stink? Then it really didn't matter. I mean, this is about every player trying to be the best version of themselves.
Coach, to everyone on the outside that looked extremely successful at the combine over the past couple of days, did you walk away from it feeling exactly the same thing? That it was all the way around, it was good?
Well, again, the combine was done for our players. I wanted the NBA to walk away and say, this was really worthwhile. This helps us evaluate guys, and they did. But it was more based on our kids. And it was based on the fact that I'm going to try to play guys 20 minutes that deserve 33. And they got to know that in 20 minutes, nothing is going to hurt you. You're going to be fine, and that I got their backs. That's why I did it, solely. The other side of that was The NBA could then come back and get me feedback, which I could then use to help them become better players. And, you know, people are saying, well, I did it for recruiting. If it helped recruiting, great. That's not why I did it. Somebody told me, my good friend Tommy Izzo said, well, if he says he didn't do it for recruiting, his Pinocchio and nose would grow and hang 10,000 shirts and on his nose. And I said, I don't need my nose to grow to hold 10,000 shirts on my nose. But it was done for the players on my team. You even had some guys in the NBA saying, well, it was really scripted. Yeah. It was to help my guys. I'm not trying to hurt them. And so it was somewhat scripted, but they did play 3-on-3. You can't script that. And they did play 5-on-5. You cannot script that.
John, what things are you seeing from Dakari this year that might add another dimension to his game that can really kind of help your front court game?
Everybody that saw him in the combine said, I can't even believe that's the same kid. Like, he's running up and down 4 and 5 times in a row, where last year he'd go once, maybe the second time, and die on the way, and the third time he's not crossing half court. Now all of a sudden you see this guy flying, and the thing that I'm most proud of all the players on our team, he pushes his limits. And I'll stop the team and I'll say, now watch him. He's running absolutely as hard as his body will go. And I said, if we have a team full of guys running that way and playing that way, we're going to be really good. His body has changed. He went from over 20% body fat to, I thought it was 8.8. It may be a little bit higher than that. But everybody looked at his body and said, oh my gosh. Making jumpers that he's never made. The best play in it was guy drove and threw him a ball to 12 feet, and he pulled up and made it, swished it. I said, that's the kind of stuff you want to see as a coach.
How does his condition give you more options with your platoons and your ideas with the big?
Does what?
Dakari's conditioning and the better body give you.
Well, the question is, do you play he and Willie together, or do you play he and Marcus Lee together? Okay, do you play Carl and Willie together? And we have not done that yet. But we got a lot of things to try. And then at some point you got to settle in, because of all my veteran coaching friends, my mentors that say, you got to play 5 or 6 guys if you really want to be a good team. And we're going to do that. 5 or 6 guys are going to play on a team. They're going to be responsible for each other, and they're going to work together, and they're going to practice together, and they're going to play together, and they're going to, you know, they're going to be held accountable. You have a sub. You're going to have a guard sub for any of the guards that don't sprint the court, don't dive on the floor, give up a 3, don't sprint back. You'll have a guard that'll come in for them. They'll lose that part of their rotation. And the same with the bigs. You'll have a big that can rotate in for them.
Is your thought that you help at the beginning of the year establish those 5s and that kind of be, or you think, well, in this matchup it might make sense to put this 5 together and this 5 together, or would you like to see?
Well, here's what I would say, that at the end of the game, if they're fouling, it'd probably be pretty smart to have 5 good foul shooters in. And you won't believe this, I'll probably do that. But short of making all these kind of changes, I'm not doing this to be a genius. It's not why I'm doing it. I have never done this before. If I was worried about me, we'd play 7 guys. Do you know how good those 7 would be? And you'd be fine with it. You should only play 7. Well, your son's one of the 3 not playing. You should play 10, 2 platoon. Really? What I'm doing is what's right for these kids. Will it change? Will it morph into something else? Probably will. But right now, all I know, I'm trying to make sure that I'm taking care of every one of these kids, that they're eating first. This is the best solution that I could come up with, and I rack my brain, how do I do this, and make sure none of those kids are left behind. That's what I'm doing. We can say you're trying to do this or you did this comment. The one thing you have to tell, I speak the truth. I tell you how I feel. I'm telling you why I did the summer tour. I needed them to buy in. why I played great teams down there. Why'd we do it? I needed them to buy in against good teams. Why'd you do the combine? I got your back. You don't have to worry about you. I got you. Worry about each other. Be the best teammate you can be. Why are you shutting everybody out now? Because I want to work on team, and I got to really be focused on who are the units going to be. The quicker I can get to what I'm comfortable with, we stick with that. Now, the game ends, 5 great foul shooters. Will we work on it? Probably. But I'm not trying to do this for any other reason. It's right for these guys.
Along those lines, is it fun? Is it invigorating, the challenge of trying to make all this work?
I'm just on a mission to make it work, because I'm hearing all the reasons you can't do it. Can't do it, this, that, and you know, the issue for our guys is, can they keep the clutter away? And Jay Billis gave a great talk to our guys about understand that it's coming. He said, we in the media, it's what we do. So what we're going to do is pit you against him. Who's better? He should be playing. He's not. Well, why would these 3 say you're better and these 3 say he's better? Pitting. What about this guy, this big guy versus that big guy? What about if he was only doing this? Oh, he needs to play 30 minutes to show his game. It's coming. Jay Billis talked to, and if they can't get through to the players and break those guys down, they'll try to go to the parents. We have some guys in here that'll do that, that'll call the parents and say, what do you think? To try to get that. It's all what we're going to have to deal with. And they know that. They know it. And Jay Billis's talk was really good.
John, earlier in the preseason, I think it was on the website, you said that there could be a watershed moment. This season could be a watershed moment. What did you mean by that?
Well, you know, it's funny. Fox right now is doing a story how the 2010 team was a watershed year. And what they're saying is, by all those guys willing to come together and sacrifice, they all benefited, and they continue to benefit. And it was that showed the country that what was happening, it's changed. I made the statement that it's the biggest moment in Kentucky, and oh, some of you went crazy. It gave you a chance to just go nuts. But you're seeing that moment, that year, it did something that changed what we did here, and it did. Now I'm telling you, can you imagine if we do this and all 10 kids eat and benefit, and really all 12, and we win? What do you say now? Like, right now, it's, you don't want to go there, they may not leave. Why would you go there? These guys aren't leaving. Here, what if you only play 20 minutes? It's okay, it's less pressure. It's not on me, it's on us. I can be a great teammate, I can improve my skills. I don't have, and they all got drafted and they all won. And so it's an issue now if this works. And I'm on a mission to make this work for each of these kids.
Coach, are you up to it physically? How do you feel?
Very good. I just left the Rotary and I asked how many people had ever had their hip or knee replaced. And only 3 didn't raise their hand. I'm sleeping. If people are looking and saying, wow, you look great, you're refreshed, this is really, I'm sleeping for the first time, and like I can sleep. I don't have to sleep 2 hours a night. So, but again, what I'm doing is I'm staying focused on these kids. And part of being focused on these kids is not the selfish, just this kid. It is, how do I get them together to understand they need each other? And if they'll all come together, if they'll keep away from the clutter and not buy into any of that stuff that's trying to break us down, we can do this. Is it going to be easy? No. How about this? Will there be bumps in the road? Oh, yeah. We probably, in all likelihood, are going to lose a couple games that you in here would say, if he were only playing 7, we'd have won that game. And, you know, the people in our state are fine if we lose games. I have to be patient too and understand that's going to be part of the process. You cannot skip steps. Last year we started 5 freshmen. Halfway through the year and toward the end, what happened in 2012 will never happen again. It's crazy. this, you look now, you can't do what he's doing. And then there was radio silence when the team started winning and winning and winning. And I hate to tell you now, I went over to Coach Hall, you know, and when I have a whip or a team's playing well, I'll speak a little bit crazier. And I went over to Coach Hall and I said, Coach, how about all those people that jumped off the bandwagon? And he looked around, he said, I hate to tell you, I did too.
Cal, your championship team had several guys back who had been important players on a team that had made it close and come up short. What kind of impact does that have? How much do you think it affects the team the next year? How much do you think it drives those guys that are back this year?
Well, I'll tell you something I did after the combine was over. I walked in and I said to the guys, I am so proud of you guys to have 90 people in that gym watching your every move, that you cared about each other, you all helped yourself, and you made it about each other. You looked like a team in a short period of time. And I can tell you right now, the anxiety you must have felt, all that, I can't believe this, what you just did, is harder than playing in the national championship game. And Aaron and Andrew and Alec, are you out of your mind? You know how hard that was? And I said, well, maybe if we lucky enough to do something and it'll be easier this year for you. But it just shows that what they did last year, they said, do you know how hard it was in that game? And we all saw 5 freshmen playing in a game like that and having a chance to win, crazy.
Cal, what's your perception of the impact shoe companies have in the AE circuit when it comes, particularly the relationships they form and then the loyalty that players may or may not feel?
Now, you know I've been doing this a long time, right? Like, I'm like the old guy now. I used to be the young guy in the room. Now I'm the old guy in the room. I'm no longer the oldest coach in the SEC, I'm very happy to tell you, but I was last year. When I first got started, my team was in Reebok. And then my team went to LA Gear. And all I asked is, please don't have us in the light-up shoes. They were very heavy, but we wore them. Then my team went to Adidas. So my team, I've had teams in Adidas. When we went to Adidas, I was somewhere, and the guy looked at my shirt, and it said, you know, Adidas. You're with Adidas. I didn't know that. And I said, they don't either know that we're with them. And I've been with Nike. All I can tell you is it's not had an effect on how I've done the job. So I would even like to tell you I was with the PF Flyers, but you know I'm not that old to say that, you know, I think I may have even been with Converse, really. So, you know, I'm not sure that it has that. You know, I don't think it does, but, you know, people have their opinions on it.
Have you gotten any sense of the kids factor that in?
I've had kids from all different teams play in all different shoes, and I'm not, you know, I'm not feeling it, but, you know, I'm not, you know.
Cal, does a great team have to have one guy that sort of takes the reins, that's the go-to leader or the go-to guy at the end? And have you come close to finding that guy?
Well, here's what I would say. In a normal situation, you'd like to have the best player on the court. When the game's winding down in a close game, your player, the one you have, is better than anybody he has. That's obviously. But what we're doing right now is something that's never been done. And I've never done it, and I'm telling you right now, I'll make some mistakes. I'm going to stub my toe. I'm going to try things that I'm going to look back and say, why did I even try that? And will that matter when you're coming at them with so many guys? They did it different, but when Arkansas made that run in 95? I don't believe they had the best player in the country. And they made that run. And you could even beg to differ in 96 when they were trying to play 9 and 10 here. That was any of those players the best? They probably had 4 of the top 11 or 12 in the country, but did they have the best? I don't know.
Does there need to be some collective leadership? You mentioned on the practice on ESPN the other day, it's going to be a long year if I'm dragging you.
Right.
If you guys aren't dragging
Well, you guys that have followed me know I try to empower my team and make it, it's got to be their team, not mine. But the other side of it is I'm trying to teach all of these kids what it means to lead and what it means to serve. So every player that leaves this program, if he's ever in a leadership position, has something to draw back on. Now, does that mean I'll have 12 guys leading this team? No. Does that mean I only want one leading this team? I absolutely don't want one. What if he struggles? What if something happens? He hits a spell that he's down. What if he emotionally something? Well, wait a minute. He can step back, get yourself right, we're fine. You want to have probably 4 different guys that can drag this team at some point or another. And that'll play out. And then, look, it could be young guys. It could be a freshman, too, now.
Coach, could you talk about Dominic Hawkins and Derek Willis and how they've changed since last year?
Yeah, they're so much better. I mean, Dominic right now, if you leave Dominic open, like last year, they left him open. It wasn't if he was open. Oh, he was open. They weren't guarding him, and he knew it. And now, if you leave him open, he makes shots. You look at Derek Willis. Derek has gained 20 pounds. He's gained 20 pounds. They're playing 3-on-3, and I think he's with Andrew. And Andrew keeps creating the 3 for him, and they're like one of the best 3-on-3 teams. They got a big guy, and if you help in a pick and roll and ISO, he's throwing a skip pass to that kid, and Derek's nailing it. So they have gotten way better, and I think, again, as we put this thing together, they also deserve to be in some sort of rotation. So how do you do it? We're still trying to figure all that stuff out.
John, I think you'd agree there's really outsized expectations for this group, like several of your groups. I'm wondering if you learned anything from last year's experience that might help in dealing with that, or what do you think about those kind of expectations?
Well, last year's experience, again, I'd never been through starting 5 freshmen. And I don't know if many people, so there were things that we went through that it took time. This year, it's more of the outside influences that will affect these guys and how strong they are. I'll give you an example. We play a bad game or 2 and things are going a little south. Well, they stay together like last year's team. Last year's team never wavered. They just knew they weren't ready. And they were good kids who had talent, and eventually they got it. And they made us all happy. Maybe not all of you, but most of you, they made you happy because of how they finished the year. What was I saying? My mind just started wandering on something. Just started. I'm not, the only expectations I have, again, making this work for all these kids. And if we do that, they'll drag this where it's supposed to go. They'll drag it. Last year's team dragged it. 2012 dragged it. Even that first team that was not an execution team in 2010, if we didn't shoot 0 for 20, we probably would have been playing the last day of the year that year too.
How and when did this notion of platoons first come to you? And how much did you have to kind of convince yourself, yeah, we can do this?
As soon as the Twins said we're coming back, I went, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then I had to call the freshman parents and those kids to tell them, I got your back. You just keep training. This is going to work. And so, again, what else would you do? All right, I'm playing 8. Who are the 2 you're leaving out? So I also didn't want to do anything that would hurt. It's almost like you have a classroom and you're playing to the C student. No, you play to the A student and make the C students chase the A's. And maybe they become B's because they were chasing A's. You don't want your A's to become B's because they're going down to the C's. I'll say it again, the easiest, it's not communism. We want greatness. We want those guys to strive for greatness. So I couldn't think of any other way of doing it other than let's do it. And then we had to do the trip. The trip, we put that trip together within a month, didn't we? A month before we left, we put it together. Would you say?
Could you have done this year without this, it happening in the fall in your fourth year with the NCAA allow a summer trip? I mean, could you have?
Well, what I'm gonna try to promote right now is I think we should, because it's good for the kids, there should be 2 summer trips every 4 years. Why not? What would hold you? Why? What's the negative? Now we all can do it. There's 90 of us. We're all the same. You can take 2 trips or don't. Don't take any. But why take away from these kids educational experience of being on the road, traveling together, coming together as a team, learning about each other, kind of like spring football? Why would you say no? So that's my new challenge. We're now allowed to feed these guys. Let's make 2 trips out of 4.
Cal, what's been your early impressions of Devin? What you like about the way he's playing?
Really helped himself. He's really helped himself. Not only his shooting, physically, athletically. You know, he's been good. He's been shooting the ball well. He's got to get it off a little quicker. So he's been working on that. But you know, when he shoots it, we all think it's going in.
Do you? Every time we bring up the twins, we always say the twins. They almost become one person. Have you ever considered playing them apart, maybe in one of the platoons?
Well, here's what just happened. First of all, I go out to dinner, and each night of the combine, I went out with a different group because I wanted to talk to them about what they saw, an NBA group. One of the guys said, I hate to tell you, how do you tell the twins apart? And he said, I said to Andrew, to get myself to know because I can't tell. The problem with that is all of you couldn't tell them apart, so if one played bad, they both played bad. Even though one played really well and the other played bad, you don't know which one, they played bad. He reminded me of that. And the second thing is, when we were in the combine and I split them up, I told them I was going to do that. I don't want any NBA team thinking you got to draft both or don't draft either. So yes, I want them to play a part so that their value is what it is. And to be honest with you, they did pretty good. They did good and both teams did good. And I told them that. I'm not locked into you two having to play together. If I had my druthers, I'd rather you play together, but I'm not totally locked into that. And I told them, and I know you two. So now I'll split you up and you'll play like crap so that I got to play together.
Cal, what was the most surprising piece of feedback you got about a player from that whole combine process?
Well, the 2 guys that they had not seen, Trey and Devin, they all like Carl. They were so impressed with Willie, all the agility stuff and all the feet and all the other things. They looked at the twins, and we did drills so that you could see their speed, and they were stunned, and they looked at their body. So, and I go back to Alex. The only thing they said, Alex would never be coached the way you're coaching him, which is to encourage him, to pick him up, to do this. When he comes to our league, they don't coach you that way. Either you go do it or someone else does it. And the team players on the team are trying to get your minutes, so they're not encouraging you. You got to do it yourself. And it was a great thing that I could sit down with him and say, you understand, you have to build your own swagger. No one else can do it. No one here's holding you back, but you got to go for it. And he's such a great kid. I mean, you think about him and how he's been. So, but Marcus Lee, I mean, Dakar, they all helped themselves. Every one of them helped themselves.
We haven't, a lot of us haven't been around you all summer, but a couple of things I've read is about maybe speeding up a little on defense and maybe some more pressure and stuff. But I haven't heard you today. Have you had some consideration of that still on your?
Yeah, but you know what's happened right now, we're playing fast, but I'm trying to get them to play fast and then play with poise. In other words, there's nothing there. How are we playing now? The second thing, defensively, we want to pick up every possession and play, even if it's straight man. And why? Because if you want to come in the lane and try to beat us down on the dribble, fine. We don't want to give up threes. We want to make sure you're scoring within the three-point line. Not thinking you're not going to be able to get all the way to the rim, but we're working on all those breakdowns. The second thing is guys don't get off the floor. So I can't practice 2 hours and 15 minutes and running, pressing, and going nuts, because we all know if you want to win a national title, you want to compete at that level, your half-court offense and your half-court defense is going to be how you do it. Not that you press and you do all the crazy stuff, because you're going to get to the tournament and timeouts are like 5 minutes, so no one's going to get tired. And the second thing is you're going to play against a team that will not let you speed them up. So how are you going to play in the half court defensively and offensively? And we're working on that right now.
Coach, has the new hip allowed you to work on a Matthew Mitchell type dance routine for tomorrow night?
No. Matthew, no. Matthew has his niche there, and I don't want to infringe on his niche.
Are you sure you're going to play Andrew and Tyler apart on the platoons, or is there a chance they might be in the same?
Well, let's tell me who you think my best 5 free throws shooters would be. Who are the best big guy free throw shooters? Carl? Trey. Who are the best 3 guard free throw shooters? And probably, okay. You guys are really smart, man. Now, if I'm not comfortable with that, I could change it. We could go with a 4th and say, Devin, you're in 2, and one of those bigs out. Because again, let's just say, okay, you got a little 5'9" guy. Then you're going 6'5", 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", 6'6", 6'6", 7 foot, 6'10". Other than NBA teams, that's a big team. And that's our small team.
And at the end of a close game, how much does Tyler sort of frenetic defensive stuff?
Don't know yet. We have to see. You know, we put him in down there, and he missed a 3, missed a free throw. Okay, so when he was in that situation, that's what happened. Now, the other day, I made him shoot a free throw in front of his teams for us to get off the court, and he made it. So you don't know until they're thrown into these situations. Same with Trey, same with Carl. Let them be in these situations, and they'll play their way through it.
John, how do you let Willie be Willie and yet still keep him within the team concept frame?
Willie's been fine. Willie's just got to stay connected with these players. You got to do it within, and I talked to you guys the last time. There's a circle of our players. You have to be in that circle to lead, to really be a part of something. If you're not, you're outside the circle. You're never going to lead, and you're never really going to be a part of what we're doing. That means you don't have to be attached at the hip, but you must be in the circle. And so Willie, I don't want to take away from what he is. I'm not trying to tell him you got to be this. You know, I told him, if you're painting your hair, you better play well. You know, you want to do all the stuff you're doing, all I'm telling you is you better play well. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. You know, you are who you are. You want to, be your own self, that's fine. But, there's things that you're going to do that are going to bring more attention to anything other than basketball in your mind. But it just brings more to how you're playing, more attention. So hopefully with him, he's been great. I mean, his shooting is better. They were amazed at how he shot the ball. But, he still plays too fast. He still plays out of balance some. But it's nice to have a guy that could guard a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the court. And we have a couple guys like that. I'm not sure Carl and Dakari, but you know what? Both of those guys have worked on moving their feet. We're trying to play pick and roll different, teaching it different. I had people saying, why would you teach different? You guys are great in pick and roll. Because the game's changing a little bit, and how we're doing it, is changing a little bit.
How good can Carl be, and what does he need to do to get to be as good as he can be?
Carl is established, like some of the great players that I've coached here. He's established. And now, because of what's happened to this point, okay, he's established himself. The best players, I'll give you an example, like an Anthony. He had one question: how do I make the team better? I'm not just, what do I have to do to help the team win? Which means all the ego stuff has to be out the window. If you're worried about touches, minutes, and shots, you will never be the true player you can be. That's a hard one now. Again, the clutter. Needs it more, touch it more, shoot it more. No. How do I help this team win? How do I have an impact on this game? That was Anthony Davis. And he turned out all right. And it's a great lesson for all these guys. Or Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I'm just going to play so hard, going to compete at such a high level. And the good news is everyone I talked to in the NBA said, we don't need 35 minutes to know if a kid can play. In 20 minutes, we're fine. And the question is, you know, do you play to your strengths? Do I do what I do? And that's what we're going to try to do. How do we get them again? Be the best teammate you've ever been, which means you got to think more about everybody else than you ever thought, which means you got to talk. They don't talk right now. Dakari said to me, because I've said, God, you know, each individual, why aren't we talking more? Dakari says, I don't know. Because we talk at dinner, we talk when we're hanging out, we talk, and then we get in the court and we don't talk. Well, you're not talking because who are you thinking about? You, yourself, how you feel, what just happened, what's the next play, versus how do I help the people around me? What do I do to help him? Well, I'm going to talk to him then. So that's the issue for us on the court. These are great kids. Look, I knew last year would flip around. I knew it. And I told them, we got talented players who are good kids. This group is just, these kids are greatest kids that I've coached. I mean, a great group. Every one of them wants to be coached, wants to be challenged, wants to be taken to another level. They're not here to just show us what they do. And they care about one another. They're good, they're comfortable in their own skin. But we're doing something that's never been done in college basketball and trying to make it work at Kentucky, not at a place you can stub your toe 5 times and it'll be fine, under this glowing light that's this, and while each kid is trying to attain their own goals within this because they have that ability, and I don't blame them, and I don't blame their parents for being concerned that way. I would expect it. And we're trying to do this. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a process. It's going to be step at a time. Some of you will jump off the bandwagon right away. Some of you may have jumped off already. Some of you hope to jump off, okay? Stuff like that happens, but all I'm doing is coaching these guys, worrying about them. They'll worry about each other.
Cal, in view of the autograph scandal that has occurred in college football, and you having such a high-profile team,
I don't sign my I don't sell my autographs.
have you had a heightened awareness among the team?
I could sell my autographs, just so you know. Well, seriously. No, go ahead. What was that?
Is there a heightened awareness now because of all these things that are occurring?
Well, if you followed, there are things that go on at other campuses that absolutely cannot go on here. Just can't. They'll make a 30-30 movie of it. I'll be called in front of a congressional hearing. Forget about NCAA. I'll be talking to John McCain about what happened. We're held to a different standard here, and that's fine. The other side of it is 19 of these kids have gotten drafted, and that number in the next 3 years may be 32, 33, 34. Okay, now you're going to be under a spotlight. If you think this happens and you just do what you want to do, you cannot come here. If you want to drink, smoke, chase, do all that, you can't do it here. You just can't. If you choose to do that, don't come here. And I tell every recruit the same thing. This is a different animal. What goes on over there cannot go on here. It can't. We're at Kentucky. So all that stuff, our kids, you know, and I'm not saying that they don't do stupid things. Great kids do stupid things. My children have done some of the stupidest, like, where did you come from? You had to be the milkman or something. There's no way you came. Why would you do that? I mean, they're stupid. They do stupid things. They're 18, 19. But at the end of the day, I think these kids understand here that there are things that, you know, if that's there and no one will know, they know. There are no secrets in this program. There are no secrets in this athletic department. They're just not.